Hey there. In order to get Changebot configured, you only have to do two things. The first is that you need to set up your products. And the second thing is that you need to connect to GitHub so that we can monitor changes as they happen. We often get the question, what do you mean by product? A product is just a way for us to organize the information coming in and where do you want that information published? So in this example, we have all the context around the company and the product. Then we need to have integration with your GitHub account so that we can monitor all the changes that are happening. This setup that you see here is pretty standard. You have all the context that we need to know about the product, and then maybe you have a front end code base, a back end code base, and a mobile app. All of those will flow together into the same product. And then as you're publishing updates and changelog entries and those sorts of things, you can then push all of those updates to all these different destinations. A little bit more complicated. You can imagine if a company has two different products, let's say you're eBay and you have buyers and sellers, you probably don't want to tell your buyers about all the seller features that you're building and vice versa. We see the same thing we saw above, but now we have two different sets of code bases, two different sets of context, and almost entirely different destinations. Although I do have a little line here that we could actually have both of the products published to the same changelog and things like that, just for convenience. This model scales up as far as you want to go. If you have 10 products or 50 products or 100 products, exact same system. We're using the phrase product to keep track of the inputs and the outputs. Back to the dashboard, if you want to proactively create all your products, you can click create a new product here, name it, and we'll add it in. If you have many products, you can create them all up front. There'll be a step later where you'll be able to select which of the code bases are assigned to which product. But let's go ahead and connect GitHub now because that's the most critical integration for us to get set up. We have the links to connect GitHub all over the place. You can click up here or down here. I'm going to go ahead and click on this link here. And then I'm ready to start connecting GitHub right now. So I'm going to click this link here under ready to start. I'm going to connect. This will let you install our Changebot app into GitHub. We really like this approach because we wanted to put the permission and the access and control into the hands of our customers. If you no longer want us to have access, you can remove this. You don't need to check in with us. You can also, I have it turned on for everything because this is for our demo account, but you can go through and say, we only want to give you access to very specific repositories. So if there are things that you never want Changebot to look at, you're never going to want to hook them into a product. You don't need to give us access to that. We really love this setup because it allows you, our customer, to completely control what we have access to, when we have access to it. And if you ever want to say you should no longer have access, that's totally in your hands. I'm going to switch this back to all because this is our demo account. Click save, and then we'll go back over to our application. Now that GitHub's connected, we're like 90% of the way done. All we have to do now is to specify which repository goes with which product. And so in order to do that, if it's not expanded, you can click on settings to expand it, click repositories, and then we'll click connect repository. And so we can just go through, say, this is the GitHub integration we want to use. This is the product that we created in Changebot. And here is the repository that is associated with that product. You can go through and do that as many times as you need to for each of the individual products. And you'll see a full list here of all the different products and integrations and repositories. I know I spent a lot of time at the top talking about products and different code base and things like that, but really getting started is super fast. Usually take us an hour or two to go through the process of processing the repository and making it ready, but then you're ready to start using Changebot. And so I always recommend starting off creating a recap, just creating a recap for the previous month to see how that looks. Go in there, do a couple of spotlights, see how it feels. And then we're here, like I mentioned in the previous section, there is all of this context. One of the best things we can do to create better updates is to have better context. And so if you're ever creating updates and you feel like the wording isn't quite right, or especially if it's not accurate and it's not actually describing what's happening, please let us know and we'll get that addressed immediately. And there's a lot we can do to make that better. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. We're here to help. If you want to do some brainstorming about some ways to set up the products, obviously this is all I do all the time. And so I'm happy to help with that, but let me know how it goes. And we're excited to see you in Changebot. Thanks.